Hi, my name is Jeremy Patrich, and I want to welcome you to your cultural geography course. This is going to be a short-term semester, so I wanted to kind of introduce you to a couple items that will be important for you to know, especially as we get going through this short-term semester. The first thing is that there is no textbook to purchase. We're going to be using a free text that was written by Dr. Steve Graves, who teaches full-time at the University of Northridge, Cal State Northridge, in which he's provided an OER text. What I like about his text, in particular, one is that it's free, but second is that he tries to make culture more relatable. When we talk about California being a melting pot of cultures, it's really true. We can see the entire world in just our background. And so he utilizes that opportunity to discuss food, to discuss architecture, to discuss even human sexuality and the sexuality diversity that we have here, and how that can be portrayed and seen in our landscapes. So we'll be discussing a lot of that content there. I kind of want to discuss also some of the assignments that you'll have this semester. You're going to have reading quizzes. The reading quizzes are actually from the publisher. They're taken directly from the book, but I'm giving you 2 attempts, and Canvas will record the highest out of the 2 attempts. I will also let you know then that the questions from the reading quiz will be on the exams, word for word. So you're going to get questions. So the more you take it and the more you familiarize yourself with the content, you will get those questions then on your midterm and then the final. That being said, the final is not cumulative, so don't need to worry about that. You will also have a set of group discussions. I really tried hard to make them interesting. I've taken classes myself in which you've taken discussion boards that were quite mundane, or even using content that was just more research-based. I try to think of things that were a little more you and a little more human, such as music, and such as architecture, such as movies and film, and things that we can see that do have a prominence in our culture. I will also be providing a little bit of extra credit if you go above and beyond, especially if you respond to more than what I'm requiring. I'm asking that you do an initial post, and then you have to do a follow-up by reading some peers. Not all of them, just a couple, but the more you respond to, the more points you'll get, especially in the extra credit piece. You're also going to have a term paper that's going to be due at the end of this semester. I shouldn't phrase it as a term paper because it's more of a self-reflection discussing your cultural geography. So the way that it's set up is it's in 4 parts. I'm actually just pulled it up on my screen so I can make sure that we kind of go through it together. I have them set up as a page minimum, so it's 5. So we've got about 11-page minimum for this paper, but that's not just words. I'm looking for maps and images and things. So the first part is your story. Who are you? What is your culture? What is your identity? How do you identify as? Whether it be a specific pronoun, whether it be by a cultural background, whether it be an ethnicity, what it might be. Who are you? And then furthermore, where are you going? What are you going to do? What type of footprint are you going to be leaving on the landscape? What type of traditions have you absorbed in your life that you want to continue with, perhaps with your children or your friends? So you'll be talking about that. I'm also going to ask you to look back into your family. I'm going to ask you to go back at least 2 generations and to discuss where did your family come from? Did they come from Ireland? Did they come from South America? Where did your family come from? Why did they come here? Why are you living where you're living? Those are all part of your identity. And then the last part is, for you to actually break down and discuss how, if you had to identify yourself, what are you? Who are you? What is that identity? Do you not identify as anything? Do you not like labels? Or this is for you to really be reflective of yourself, because we will all be able to disclose the fact that we all have a very particular cultural identity. It doesn't matter the way that you look, the way that you were raised. It's who you are now, and the things that you love, the things that you enjoy, the things that you appreciate, and really what you give back to your community identifies what your cultural background and your cultural influence will be. So that's the first part. And then the next couple parts, location 1, 2, 3. I'm asking you to identify 3 locations that describe you. So imagine it's a first date, or you're meeting someone new and they say, hey, tell me about yourself. And you'll say, well, actually, I'm going to take you to 3 places that really define who I am. a very common one, and I'll throw it out there, is Disneyland. Maybe Disneyland is something that you remember as a child, something that's very important to you. Maybe you're very involved in the Disney culture, and it's something that you really appreciate. Maybe it's anime, maybe you really like Comic-Con, whatever it might be. It can be a place, it can be an event, it just needs to be a location, some place. And then to discuss, well, what makes it so significant to you? And then to kind of go back into its history. So as an example, perhaps it's a restaurant, a family restaurant that you really like, that your family ate at every Friday night for your entire life. Research it. Maybe there's nothing online. Maybe you'll have to go to the restaurant and say, hey, I'm kind of curious. When did this restaurant open? What is the cultural influence of the music that's played, the food that we eat, the spices that are used, the architectural design of the building? Really try to have fun with this. So I don't want to label as a term paper, because I really think of it's going to be as an opportunity for me to see you in a different way than just a student on an online class, but also for you to kind of reflect on yourself and say, well, we all have an identity. We all have a person that we reflect and that we are, but how do we see that in the landscape? So, as an example, I live here in Southern California. I'm in a very small community that lives about 5 miles north of Six Flags Magic Mountain. I grew up here in '93, but I was actually born and raised up until the 3rd grade. I was in Baldwin Park, which is a smaller community, a little more east of East LA. And then we moved out here in '93, right, just in time for the '94 earthquake. Obviously, my cultural identity is very different than perhaps the way that I look. My preference of food, my preference of cooking, my preference of language, things like that. Those are all things that describe who I am. Places that I like to travel to, places that I've been, that I want to go, that I identify with. Those are all part of your cultural geography, and that's what this is really about. So it's all been assigned. I have the entire class open, so that way you can begin now and you can work on it through the rest of the semester. I don't take late work because it's too hard for me to keep up with that. So I really, really urge you to move ahead and turn things in early, so that way if there's something wrong, we can fix it and you can resubmit it and get a higher score. I'm really looking forward to this semester. I know it's going to be a lot of work, but it's a 3-unit class. We're going to have to get through it. We can do it together. I'll be utilizing email, the chat rooms, whatever it is that you need to get a hold of me. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. We can Skype. We can whatever. I want you to do well in this course. I'm giving you all the opportunities, everything that I can give you to make you do well. It's just up to you. And like I said, I'm here for you. I don't want this to be... I want this to be an exciting opportunity. I want you to really walk away learning about not just the world that we live in, but to then identify who you are and what your goals are and what you want to be and the places you want to live and travel and the influences that inspire that. This is an opportunity for that, and that's why I'm really excited about this class. It's going to be a lot of fun. So in conclusion, good luck. I'm looking forward to learning all about you. Please email me if you have any questions. I try to respond within 12 to 24 hours. Weekends are a little bit slower because I'm a person too, and I like to travel and do things as well. But during the week, I'm really good about getting back. But email is the only way to really get a hold of me at the beginning, and then we can set up either chat room, stuff like that. But email. Don't. People sometimes write comments on random assignments, and I never get those. You need to email me directly, and I'll get right back to you. It goes to my phone. So I'm looking forward to working with you this semester, and I'll see you online.